everybody, it's Carissa. Today I wanted to talk to you about my most favorite knitting technique, and that is two-color brioche stitch. This is a fun way to work with two colors, but one color at a time. You'll alternate rows of the light color and the dark color, and it creates vertical stripes of color, and the fabric is reversible. So on the one side, you might have green stripes popping out from a navy blue background. And on the back, you'll have navy blue stripes popping out from a green background. So this is a really fun way to add pops of color and some texture because it's got a lot of depth. Add some color and texture to your knitting. The gist is when you're working with one color, you will either knit or purl the stitches that you want to be that color, and the stitches you want to be the other color will simply be slipped from one needle to the other as if to purl, while simultaneously creating a yarn over. Now that might sound a little bit weird, but it'll make more sense as we get into it. So the easiest way to learn brioche at first, I feel, is to do so in the round. So here I have cast on an even number of stitches and just joined in the round and worked one round of simply knitting. Now I am ready to join my second color, which is going to be my light color. In brioche, the colors are usually referred to as light color and dark color. One is going to pop out on one side of the fabric and the other will pop out on the other side of the fabric. So those two sides of the fabric are usually called the light side, where the light colored stitches pop out, and the dark side, where the dark colored stitches are more prominent. So first, we're going to work a setup round with our brioche, with our light color. So I'm going to place a marker for my beginning of round. Going to hold the tail of my yarn in the back, and our first stitch is going to be one of those slip one yarn over stitches that I was talking about. So first we want to make sure that our yarn is in the front of our work. So I'll bring the white yarn to the front of the work between the needle tips before we slip that first stitch as if to purl, simultaneously wrapping the yarn up and over the right hand needle to the back of the work. So we've slipped that stitch and we've also yarned over at the same time. Those two strands that sort of crisscross on your needles will will count as a single stitch. Those two strands will be worked together on the next round. So I'm going to alternate around the row with slip one yarn over and then simply knit the next stitch on this setup row. So we want our yarn to be in the front before we slip one as if to purl and simultaneously work that yarn over, bring the yarn over the right hand needle to the back of the work, and then simply knit one. So yarn to the front between the needles, slip one as if to purl, and yarn over, and knit one. And if you hold your yarn in the right hand, English style knitter, so I just knitted one, so it's time to do that slip one yarn over. So we want our yarn to be in the front of the work between the needle tips, slip one as if to purl, and at the same time bring our yarn up and over the right hand needle to the back of the work. So we do that slip one yarn over and knit one. The yarn to the front between the needle tips, slip one yarn over and knit one. And we're just going to alternate those two stitches all the way around. If we look at the stitches that we've created so far, it looks like we have a lot more stitches than we should, but that's just because that slip one and yarn over at the same time has two strands, but it only counts as one stitch. So there's our very first, here's our beginning of round marker. There's our very first slip one, the green stitch, and yarn over the white stitch. That's one stitch. And then we had just a knit one with white yarn. And there's our third stitch is a slip one, yarn over with that crisscross, and knit one, that's 4. That's 5 with a slip one, yarn over. There's 6 and knit one. 7, slip one, yarn over. 8, it's just a knit one. 9, slip one, yarn over. And number 10, knit one, is the last one I worked. So I'm going to just repeat those same 2 stitches all the way around the round. So bring our yarn to the front between the needles, slip one and yarn over, and knit one. Yarn to the front between the needles to slip one, yarn over, and knit one. Yarn front, slip one, yarn over, knit one. Yarn front, slip one, yarn over, knit one. All the way around. Yarn front, slip one, yarn over, knit one. Yarn front, slip one, yarn over, knit one. Yarn front, slip one, yarn over, knit one. And it will, brioche kind of looks like a jumbled mess at first until you get a couple of inches of fabric, and then you'll start to see those vertical lines of color. But when you've only got a few rounds done, it is going to look wrong. It is going to look like you've done something wrong, but just keep going and everything should fall into place. Slip one, yarn over, knit one, yarn front, slip one, yarn over, knit one, slip one, yarn over, knit one. We're almost back to the beginning. Yarn front, slip one, yarn over, knit one, yarn front, slip one, yarn over, and knit the last stitch there. Okay, so now we're back to our beginning of round marker, and we're just going to let the light colored yarn hang out in the back while we start working with the dark color here. There we go. So slip my beginning of round marker. Now the next round, like I said, one color of yarn you will always be knitting with, and the other color you'll always be purling with. So we just worked a knit brioche round with the white. We're going to do a purl brioche round with the green. So each stitch that you worked in the last row, those knit stitches, will become a slip one, yarn over when you work the next color, the next round. And those stitches that were a slip one, yarn over last time are going to be worked this time. But we're on a purl round with the green, so we want our green to be in the front so that we can work that slip one, yarn over as a brioche purl. And all that means is that slip one and yarn over, those 2 strands, get purled together. That's all that is those 2. Let me put it back here. So the green stitch that I slipped last time and the white yarn over from the previous round, all I'm going to do is put my right hand needle under both of those strands as if to purl, and purl them together. That is a brioche purl stitch. Then I can take both of those strands off the left hand needle. Now the next stitch is one that I knitted last time, so now I want to slip one yarn over with that stitch this time. First thing we want to do is make sure our yarn is in the front. Well, it just purled, so it already is. I don't have to do anything. So I'm going to slip one and at the same time yarn over with that stitch. But then I want to do a brioche purl with the next stitch, so the yarn has to come all the way around back to the front in order to do a brioche purl, purl those 2 strands together. So that's That's the second slip one and yarn over that I made from the previous round. And I'm just going to insert my needle under both of those strands and purl them together for a brioche purl stitch. Now I've got another slip one yarn over to do, so my yarn is already in the front. I'm going to slip one and yarn over, but I'm on a purl round, so the yarn has to come all the way around back to the front before I can brioche purl that next pair together. So if you are an English style knitter, and I'm not very good at purling English style, so bear with me. So my yarn, let's see, I just did a brioche purl. You can tell because there's just a single strand of yarn on my needle here. The stitch before it was a slip one yarn over with that crisscross. So I just did a brioche purl, so it's time for a slip one yarn over. So my yarn is in the front. I'm going to slip that stitch as if to purl, yarn to the back, but all the way back around in front between the needles so that I can brioche purl the next pair. There we go. So again, I'm going to slip one and yarn over all the way around back to the front on a purl round so that I can brioche purl the next pair. Slip one, yarn over all the way around, and brioche purl the next two together. The slip one yarn over from the previous round gets purled together. So slip one, yarn all the way over and back around so that I can brioche purl the next. And continental style. My yarn is already in the front, so I slip one, yarn over all the way around to purl the next pair. Slip one, yarn over, and purl. Slip one yarn over, and purl those two together for a brioche purl stitch. And I'm just going to alternate those two stitches all the way around. Slip one yarn over, brioche purl. 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 Just keep going all the way around to the beginning again. So the first round that we did with the white was the setup round, where all we did was slip one yarn over and knit one. Now we're actually into brioche, where we have those slip one yarn overs from the previous round to be worked together. So we're doing brioche purl on this row to combine the slip one yarn over from the previous round into a single stitch again, a single strand of yarn. Almost back to the beginning here. Slip one yarn over, brioche purl. Slip one yarn over, brioche purl. Brioche purl. And our last stitch, beginning around marker got in the way here. So slip one yarn over. And we'll slip our beginning of round marker. And the dark color, we're just gonna let him hang out in the front while we work with the light color again. So the light color I let hang in back last time, so he's already here and ready to be worked with on the next round. So, like I said, in brioche in the round, you're always going to be knitting with one color and purling with the other. So the white yarn here, the light color, is the one that we are knitting with. So the last time we worked with the white was a setup round, but now we're actually into the brioche. So instead of slip one yarn over, knit one, we're gonna do slip one yarn over, brioche knit one. So slip one yarn over to begin with. We want the yarn to be in front so that we can slip one and yarn over the right hand needle back to the back. And now we can't just knit one because this isn't a setup row anymore. We actually do have those crisscrossed strands that was our slip one yarn over from the previous round. And we're going to knit those two strands together to work the brioche knit stitch. So again, we're going to alternate, slip one yarn over. So I want my yarn in the front first before I slip one and yarn over. And then I'm going to brioche knit those next two strands together to join that crisscross back into a single stitch. So yarn to the front, slip one, yarn over, and brioche knit. And English style. So I just did a brioche knit. We can tell because we only have a single strand of yarn on my right hand needle. So I'm going to bring the yarn to the front to do my slip one and yarn over at the same time, and then brioche knit the next crisscross pair together. So yarn front, slip one, yarn over, and brioche knit. Yarn front, slip one, yarn over, and brioche knit all the way around. Slip one yarn over, brioche knit. And we should be able to see a little bit that we're starting to get those white vertical lines with green in the middle of them, in between them. Like I said, it's still kind of hard to see because you have to get a little bit of fabric established in brioche before you can actually tell what's going on. So yarn front, slip one yarn over, brioche knit. Yarn front, slip one yarn over, brioche knit. All the way around. Yarn front, slip one yarn over, brioche knit, yarn front, slip one yarn over, oops, brioche knit. And I'm going to show you one more round so that we can practice that brioche purl and start to see a little bit more fabric building up. Slip one, yarn over, brioche knit. Almost back to the beginning again. Slip one yarn over, brioche knit, yarn front, slip one yarn over, brioche knit, front, slip one yarn over, brioche knit. Okay, that's our last stitch of the white round. I'm going to slip my beginning of round marker and let the white hang out in the back. Let the green hang out in the front last time, so it's already in the front and ready for a purl round next. So just like I did the previous green round, I'm going to start with a brioche purl. That's my slip one and my yarn over from the previous round that I'm going to purl together into a single strand on my right hand needle. My yarn is already in the front to do a slip one, yarn over, and remember on purl rounds we have to yarn all the way over back to the front to be ready to purl the next, brioche purl the next stitch. So yarn is already in the front, slip 1, yarn over all the way around to the front again to Brioche Pearl. So my yarn is already in the front, slip 1, yarn over all the way around to the front again, and Brioche Pearl. Yarn is already in the front, slip 1, yarn over all the way around to the front again, and Brioche Pearl those next 2 strands together. So now let's look at our fabric. It's becoming a little bit more obvious that we are building up those vertical stripes of white with green in between. On this side, this would be called the light side of the fabric. And then the dark side of the fabric on the back here, we have green vertical stripes of those knit stitches with white in the valleys. Very cool, huh? So you go practice your brioche in the round and come back for my next video, which will be brioche worked flat back and forth in rows. All right. Thank you very much for watching.